So one of the biggest stories coming out of E3 and Nintendo this year, at least the last couple of days, was this information from an interview that Reggie Fils-Aime gave, I want to say, to Forbes. There's actually video of it that you can find out there. Mostly, there's been a lot of quotes circulating, and they're real quotes because I actually saw the interview where he gave these quotes. And Reggie kind of hints at what's happening with the NX, with their next machine. I think the purpose of the question was in reference to the fact that we know Sony and Microsoft are coming out with more powerful machines over the course of the next year or so. And, the question was posed in such a manner of, what does Nintendo plan to do to counter such a thing? Or what does this mean for Nintendo's plans and what you guys might do going forward? And his response, was something to the effect of, for Nintendo, it's less about specs and it's more about the games and the content. And that has started a shitstorm of shit, to be quite blunt, about what people think that this means and what it could mean for Nintendo's future and how true was this, what insight into Nintendo's plans with the NX is a quote like that really giving us. And a lot of people are taking it as potentially not very positive stuff, as you can imagine. Some people are quite a bit more level-headed about it, of course. It's one of those typical things on the internet where it really runs the gamut of how people are reacting to it. So I want to touch on my feelings about this and why I think it might not be quite as bad as some people think. Okay, now first and foremost, let me say this. There is an element of what he said that I maybe don't love. I think that to a degree, I would like to be hearing Nintendo say not so much that the specs matter, but to say that we're shooting for high-end quality technology within the field of video game consoles and video game hardware and software that we exist in. We are trying to, and we're striving for, some of the best content and the best hardware out there available. That's what we're trying to do. He doesn't have to mention the specs, but to give the impression that, we can maybe expect a certain acceptable level of power under the hood for the NX, I think would be a good thing. It is something that I would like to have. I know a lot of people, that's all they invest all of their emotions in gaming onto the graphics power and the chipset and the CPU and the visuals coming at them. Like, it's the only thing that matters. And I don't share that sentiment, but I understand where they're coming from. But I will echo sentiments I've shared with you guys in the past, where even though I don't require the best visuals and the best graphics and the best CPU and all of this fastest clock speed, whatever, while I don't need those things, I do like them. I do appreciate them when they aid in the gaming experience. And when it comes to what Nintendo's doing going forward, I do want them to do something of a more acceptable power level for the NX than what they've done in the past. For 2 generations in a row, they went for a machine that isn't quite up to par, if not incredibly not up to par, like with the Wii, compared to the competition, and they still made some great stuff, but there's no doubt that in some arenas, having a weaker system has held them back, and it's also held gamers back from getting involved and getting attached and being willing to buy their product, and that is a problem, definitely is a problem. So, I would like to know that they're really trying to compete, even marginally, if not, a 100% as far as the power and the tech specs and stuff goes with the NX. But at the end of the day, I also think that what he said rings true to Nintendo's typical MO, and it's also something that I really like, because even though I like the good graphics and stuff, like I said, I still maintain I don't need them. And if Nintendo is saying that they're focusing more on the content, and it's more about the games that they're making, the games that are going to be available on the NX, how you're interacting with and playing the games, because we know that that's what Nintendo likes to do with their hardware. Whether they succeed or not is not the conversation we're having. It's the fact that they like to try to do new stuff, such as the Wii Remote and the gamepad and even the Virtual Boy, things like that. The fact that they try and that they're focusing on the gameplay and the content, that makes me excited. Like, if I had to pick one or another, best graphics ever or amazing gameplay and great games, I'm going to pick the amazing gameplay and great games over graphics every day of the week. 7 days a week, 24 hours of every day, 110% of the time. That's what I'm going to pick. Now, here's the crux of the argument, though. At the end of the day, you can have both. And ultimately, you want both. You should be able to have great innovative gameplay, awesome hardware, unique controllers, and great games, as well as amazing mind-blowing graphics. And at the end of the day, that is the perfect marriage of ideas that we want. That is what I want as a Nintendo fan. That's what I want from Nintendo. I would like them to make an NX machine that is crazy powerful, more powerful than the PS4 and Xbox One, its competition, maybe just as powerful, if not more so than even the Scorpio and the Neo and whatever's happening there. I would like their next hardware console to be able to compete in these arenas. But I also want them to have their great first-party games, hopefully some great third-party exclusives. Maybe they can get the multiplats on board, which we kind of think they are, and a really cool controller. You can do all of the above. And that is where it does get a little bit sticky with what Reggie's talking about and what Nintendo might be doing. I don't understand why some people, including Nintendo, might... I emphasize the word might, be thinking that you can only have one or the other. I don't know why it has to be like, well, we're not doing the graphics thing because we want to focus on games and gameplay. Well, that's great, and yes, I prefer games and gameplay to graphics, but why can't you do both, Nintendo? You can do both. It's happened before. Some of the other guys are even doing it now. Even you do it now. When you look at how great a game like Xenoblade or Smash Brothers or Mario Kart or Bayonetta looks, those are games with amazing gameplay, some of them very cool control styles, and also great graphics. I mean, you can do that for what the Wii U is capable of doing. And let's just take that to the next level. And so ultimately what I think is happening here is a situation where Nintendo isn't necessarily trying to say that, hey, we're not trying not to be a powerful machine. I feel like saying it and phrasing it the way Reggie did by saying we're not about the specs, we're about the gameplay. I don't think that that's necessarily, bringing this whole thing back, trying to say that it's not going to be a powerful machine. There's been so many reports and rumors, and I know the rumor thing has been very controversial, and I've shared some of my issues with it. But when you look at the fact that there have been so many people talking about it, it seems like if we're getting games like, the next Dragon Quest and things like that on this machine, that we can probably expect it is going to be fairly powerful. Even if it's not more powerful or as powerful as like the Scorpio or whatever the Neo is capable of doing, I think it's going to be something that's going to be powerful enough with enough graphical capabilities and hopefully a hard drive to make it so that it can still play and run any game being made. All the third-party developers can feel like they have sufficient enough technology, and Nintendo will still be providing us that gameplay and that unique controls and all these things that we actually want out of their quality product. I think that that's what's going to be happening. We're looking at a scenario where Reggie made some statements probably in a way he didn't need to or shouldn't have, and it caused a flurry and people ran with it in the wrong way, and I think that his phrasing was probably not the best. I think he was trying to find a safe way to phrase it, but, not really thinking about how gamers, and especially some of the more negative gamers out there, are going to just attack some of these very small concepts, and they're just going to pick apart every word in the sentence used and turn it into their own messaging and make it something and then run with it. And, it doesn't mean that there isn't truth to it. Maybe Reggie was 100% true. It just... in fact, here, let's even look at a different angle here. And going back to something Nintendo's kind of said in the past, part of the big problem with this is through this messaging from Reggie and through a couple of other things that came out of E3, some rumors about some Ubisoft quotes and stupid stuff, there's been worry that Nintendo's going to try to chase or recapture that Wii audience, that casual gaming audience, and kind of pursue that again with the NX. And, whereas maybe the Wii U was trying to get some of the more hardcore guys back in line, maybe they're like, well, we don't want to do that. We need to try to recapture. We're going to do the family thing. We're going to do the kid-friendly thing. We're not going to do the bleeding-edge technology thing. We're going to get the Just Dances of the world, and we're going to do that because Just Dance was talked about, and that's what Reggie was really trying to hint at by saying we're not about the specs. It's like, okay, I see why people are creating that narrative out of some of what's happening, but I don't think that that's what's happening. The fact that Nintendo is willing to focus on gameplay and content should be seen as a good thing, you guys. Why are people not focusing on, the gameplay and content? Would you rather have I'll use one of their competitors. Let's say Sony comes out and it's like, well, we're not really about good games and good gameplay. We want to have the best graphics out there. Would that really make people so happy and excited? Would you feel happy with your $400 purchase of a machine if they said, well, we don't really want good games, we just want great graphics? I mean, what's sad is I know a lot of people actually would be like, yeah, that's what I want. That makes me excited. But that's sad, you guys. It shouldn't have to be that way. And even if Nintendo said the same thing, I would be just as upset. I use Sony only as an example. I still think Sony has great games, and I love the PS4. But anyway, going back to the other idea. Is Nintendo trying to recapture that casual Wii gaming audience? I don't really think so. And here's where I want to go back to something that Nintendo said in the past. And it was actually Miyamoto, if I'm not mistaken, where Miyamoto and Nintendo brought up the idea. I mean, this was within a year or two after the Wii U launched, that they learned that that casual audience isn't where the money is, and it's not where the success is, and it's not where the gamers they should care about is. I didn't think to pull up this quote. It was several years old. It would probably take me forever to find it. And you know me, I rarely come prepared with quotes. But I'm sure a lot of you remember this, when basically Miyamoto said in an interview, man, you know, we realized that the problem with the casual gamers that we picked up and adopted with the Wii and all that success is that they don't stick around. They have no level of dedication, allegiance, or loyalty to gaming companies or gaming even as a hobby. They saw the Wii as the cool fad that it was. They liked the controller. They liked Wii Sports. They bought it like crazy and enjoyed it for a while. But then once they put the controllers down and the systems away, they never picked them back up again. And they weren't buying new software. They didn't really care. So that is the main reason why I think Nintendo has learned that chasing after the casual audience makes no sense. And I think that the Wii has further shown them, because they tried to still find a balance with some of the casual stuff, that the casual guys, those gamers, those soccer moms, and those people that like their mobile downloadable apps and Angry Birds and their Wii Sports, those people don't stick around. They're not where the success is. They have no loyalty or allegiance to gaming or to you as a brand, whoever you may be. It's us. It's the real gamers, I'm going to call. Real gamers, hardcore gamers. Some people have problems with these terms. I feel like I'm using them appropriately. It's the true gamers, the people who are dedicated to the passion, many of us lifelong dedication to gaming. We're the ones who are going to make you successful. We're the ones buying 40 million PlayStation 4s and 25 million Xbox Ones. We're the 13 million of us that bought the Wii U's. And so Nintendo, I think, has learned this with the Wii U and learned this with that Wii casual audience. And I cannot imagine a world where Nintendo feels like going after those people again is going to make them successful and gain back a lot of this audience that they lost with the Wii U. What I'm hoping is that the success companies like Sony and Microsoft are seeing with their more broad, hardcore gaming approach. And, you know, when you see what they're doing at E3 and all these kinds of games, and that's what's getting people excited, and that's what people are buying, and they're making millions of dollars because of it, I'm hoping that that's teaching Nintendo this lesson, like, hey, we got to go back to who we were before the Wii. And I love the Wii, so I'm not slamming the system, but we have to be that Nintendo. We have to be the Nintendo that makes the kind of hardware that satisfies everyone. We know that third-party content matters just as much as our own, and if they can tap into that, and feed the need of those gamers in that market, but then also have their quality, unique controllers, their quality, excellent gameplay, and first-party software, they will have an amazing machine on their hands. And so that's why I don't think that those quotes from Reggie and whatever these dumb Ubisoft person quotes are have any sort of real merit or validity. I don't think Nintendo sees actual success with that casual market again. I mean, there's money to be made from, like, you know, appeasing that market a little bit, but that can't be their focus, and I don't think it's going to be. I could be wrong. This is kind of like a Rob Theories thing. It's really just me thinking, you know, based on what Nintendo said, based on what Miyamoto said, based on the lessons they learned with the Wii U, and based on the fact that we can't glean that much information from Reggie's quotes in that interview, I don't think that there's any reason to be worried that Nintendo's going to completely abandon us and go after this casual market. I'm hoping they're going to shoot for high-end visuals and a powerful system, and I'm hoping they're going to keep their good content coming, and it sounds like they are. So I know I covered a lot of ideas in this video and in this topic, but I think that there's a lot of ideas to discuss. There's a lot going on here with people's concerns, what Reggie said, what might be happening. And I'm going to just reiterate one more time, you guys, we can't think that shooting for gameplay and content first and foremost is a bad thing. It's very dangerous for the gaming public to start thinking so. I know a lot of people already do, but I think that's dangerous. We should want gameplay and good games first. However, I'm going to maintain what I also said at the beginning here, and we can have both, and I would like both. So in a perfect world, Nintendo, I hope you're going to give us both. I know you said you're not about the specs, but I hope you still have good specs. Good specs and great games, and that is the perfect win for any console. It's why I like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Even though the Wii U, I think, has the best games, there's still great games on the other two guys, and they have very powerful systems, and I love their controllers for what they are. And Nintendo, if you're smart, you're going to do the best of all worlds, with the NX, and I guess we'll just find out whenever you decide to finally show it to us. So, like I said, you guys, I know I was all over the place with this, but it's very important for me to get this message across. My personal opinion, and it's only my opinion, I don't think Nintendo is chasing after that casual market. We'll wait and see when they show us the NX. Maybe it proves me wrong, but I feel pretty good that Nintendo's not doing that. So what do you guys think? What do you think is happening with Nintendo and the NX? What do you think these quotes from Reggie meant? Do you agree with me and my statements that Miyamoto's quotes from a couple of years ago means that there's no way that they would go back to that casual market? I don't know, man. Tell me what you guys think about all this crazy stuff below. But of course, thanks as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.